Okay, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about beliefs, how beliefs are created, why beliefs feel so true to us, and also that or why replacing an opposing belief or the opposite of a belief doesn't work, right? So beliefs are not truths. Beliefs are things that we believe in that have evidence to back them up, which is why they feel true. But the belief is not a truth itself. So we are constantly being conditioned from the external world, be it our experiences, through other people, situations, everything we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So the analogy that I like to use is Father Christmas, right? And if you have any children with you now, please make sure they're not listening because I am going to be revealing the truth about Father Christmas. So when we're young, we believe in Father Christmas, and this is because not only are we told about Father Christmas, and there are many stories, we can watch films and programs on television and read books about Father Christmas, but there's also a lot of evidence to back up and make us believe that Father Christmas is real. Why? Because other children also believe in Father Christmas, and our parents often leave out a carrot or a mince pie for Rudolph. And when we wake up in the morning, there are lots of presents usually, and we're told this story about how Father Christmas comes and visits all of the children's houses and comes down the chimney. And because there is evidence that backs this up, there is physical evidence in our environment, and adults tell us, and then we maybe go and visit Father Christmas at a shopping mall and we sit on his knee, we can physically see that there is a Father Christmas. And all of this evidence, all of our experiences creates us to trust that that belief is true. And why wouldn't we believe it? And then as we get a little bit older, we may hear another child or someone say that Father Christmas isn't real. And we don't actually believe it until we have seen the evidence, right? Until we've seen the truth. Maybe we catch our parents at night wrapping up the presents, or we start to question, how is it that Father Christmas can visit all of these different houses, and how does he fit through the chimney? And so we start to investigate or inquire into these beliefs. And then we build evidence of truths against the belief we originally had. So it's not that we replace the belief that Father Christmas is real with an opposing belief that Father Christmas isn't real. That doesn't work. We have to actually see evidence about the truth that Father Christmas isn't real in order to reveal that the belief was a belief, it wasn't a truth. So the beliefs that we have are always conditioned from the external environment, from our experiences. These are beliefs that we have about ourselves, about others, about the world. And I like to call these limiting beliefs because they limit the way we perceive ourselves, others, and the world. So it doesn't work to replace a new belief with an old belief, or replace a belief with the opposing thought. For example, we may have a belief that I am unworthy of love, right? Now, you can't recondition yourself and remove that belief and all the effects that that belief has on your life by just telling yourself or having the thought, I am worthy of love. Why? Because that original belief has been backed up with evidence. And the evidence has an effect on all levels of our being, not just the mind with the thought, but there is also an emotion connected, which is felt physically within the body. And our nervous system may have a reaction which feels in the moment very intense, very real. And how the universe works is by reflection. So if we feel unworthy, we find ourselves having experiences or find ourselves in situations that backs up with evidence that belief that makes it feel real. So if we are vibrating at the frequency of I am unworthy of love, we will start to attract relationships and situations that actually make us feel unworthy. And this is because whatever our belief systems are, whatever our limiting beliefs are, creates our actions, and it dictates our choices and our decisions that we make in our lives. So if, for example, if we are vibrating, if you like, at the frequency of unworthy of love, then we are going to attract relationships and situations that not only trigger that belief that makes it feel true, but it's doing that so that we can become aware that we have that pattern or we have that belief. But when we believe it to be so real, it's almost as if we're like, see, I knew it was true. And the way the mind works and the ego or the ahamkar, our identity works, is that it's constantly looking and searching for evidence in our external environments and situations to back that belief up. Even if it's a painful belief or it brings us a lot of suffering, the mind almost finds comfort in reassuring itself that that belief is actually true. So this is the way, if you like, the universe works with energy. Like attracts like. It's not that opposites attract. And if we're not aware that we have these patterns or limiting beliefs working through us, if you like, because it's through our actions, it's through our thoughts, through our emotions and our responses and our decisions and choices that these patterns continue to repeat. If we're not aware of them, then we're not able to detect when we're having that subconscious or unconscious belief reflected back to us. So that deeply ingrains that belief and it becomes part of our identity. Hence why we say things like, I am unworthy of love, rather than realizing that I have this pattern or I have this limiting belief. So rather than trying to focus on and put our energy into changing beliefs, which doesn't have a long-lasting effect on the way we live our lives or the way we perceive ourselves or others, we should rather focus our attention and our energy into revealing the truth, in unraveling that belief. So if anybody's ever used affirmations like, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am successful, in the moment that we are repeating those, there is a false sense that we've empowered ourselves with the power to control or the power to change our beliefs. But when we deeply look at the way we are still showing up in our lives and the choices and decisions that we're making, and we look deeply at our behaviors, we will recognize that in actual fact, those patterns or limiting beliefs are still controlling us. So it's very tricky to work with the mind because the mind has the ability and the power to contradict itself, right? With words, with thoughts, we can very easily just say things or have thoughts. And the true deep inner work to unravel these patterns and to become aware of our conditioning and to become aware of our limiting beliefs is a process that consists of many layers. And first we have to be aware that we have a belief or we have a pattern. And then we have to start the process of unraveling and becoming aware of the truth. And this is done, or the way I work with this is through the emotion, right? The nervous system response or reaction, memories of past experiences of when maybe these beliefs were created. And it's really a deep, transformative process on an energetic level. It works on the seed or the root of the pattern or the belief, rather than just pulling at the surface. So pulling at the surface would be just standing in the mirror and telling ourselves, I am worthy, right? In that moment, like I said, it's like cutting off a weed from just the leaves. The roots and the seed are still underground, but we can't see. And so it's going to continue to keep growing and producing outcomes and consequences and circumstances and situations in our lives. So this work is about going to the root, going to the seed and pulling the seed or digging the seed out, so that after we've done the work and we become very conscious of all aspects of our traumas or of our conditioning, and then we can start to catch ourselves in the moment that they start to arise. We catch that limiting belief, we feel the emotion, we process it, we build resilience in our system to be able to hold all emotions, no matter how intense they are. We have great compassion for ourselves in this process, a great acceptance and approval for anything that arises. And then from there, we can start to look at our unhealthy behaviors, our unhealthy patterns. We can start to consciously choose our choices and our decisions, and we can act from there. And that really is the power of this work. And at moments we will have to face some pain, because, you know, pain is very misunderstood. There are two parts to pain. There is the part where pain arises or is felt in order to direct us away from something, right? If something feels painful, we get directed away from that thing. But the problem with that is there is the other side to pain, which pain is really a messenger. It's like, hey, I need attention over here. Please give this part where you're feeling pain attention. So for example, if you cut your arm and you don't want to look at it, right? You feel the pain, but you don't want to look at it. You don't want to face it. You don't want to have the responsibility of taking care of it. Or you have fear around what you may need to do in order to heal that cut in the arm. But if we do that and we continue to do that, the cut's going to get worse. It may get infected. Really what that pain is asking us to do is to bring our attention to the wound and to clean it and dress it so that it can heal. And we can apply that to our internal work. We can apply that to emotional pain, right? And we can apply that to mental pain, which is in the form of these limiting beliefs. And when we really allow something and we build the capacity and the resistance to hold that thing, to hold that intense emotion, right? Then we gain power. That's when we start to step into self-empowerment, because you know, if we look at the definition of power, because sometimes the word power has a negative connotation, like when we say, oh, they're power hungry or power greedy. But power, having power, is the ability to choose, to have a choice. Power is the ability to not control, but to gain mastery out of an outcome. It's very difficult to sometimes use words because for everybody they have such different meanings. You know, taking control of our lives, taking control of our minds, it doesn't really exist. All we can do is become so aware, so conscious, so strong in our ability to hold and process and allow. And that includes opening. Control almost feels like a contraction of force, which takes a lot of our life force energy, right? If we try to control something, there's a lot of manipulation and a lot of lying and a lot of, it feels very constricted and contracted, and it tires us out. It's very wearing. Whereas being able to hold and process is very opening for our system. It's almost allowing something to flow through us rather than getting stuck and suppressed. And when we try to control, there's a lot of resistance, and resistance within itself, you have to use a lot of power, a lot of energy to resist something. You know, it's like two things pushing against each other. And the more you push back, the more you resist, the more power this gains through you pushing back. And it has a more powerful effect pushing the other way. And then you have to have more energy and strength to withhold that resistance. So it's about opening, it's about releasing the resistance and allowing it to flow through us. So yeah, this is the power of this work. It's the wisdom that arises, the intelligence that's within all of our systems. It's a hell yes to all of life's situations and circumstances, because whether we like it or not, they're happening. And the more we resist, the more they persist, whether they show up in one relationship, and then that relationship might end, and then suddenly we start to notice a little bit of a pattern, like, oh, we're in a new relationship, the person's changed, but the dynamic is the same. And it's very easy to blame the external, it's very easy to blame the other, but taking full responsibility for our beliefs, our patterns, our conditionings, our behaviors, that is our power. That's maturity. Our conditioning, our beliefs, our patterns, they are not our fault, right? Every single human being on this planet is and will be conditioned. It's part of being in this human experience. But the responsibility lies with us, because it's us that our conditioning and our patterns and our beliefs affect. And when we don't take responsibility, we're controlled by them. When we don't take responsibility, we are powerless to be able to consciously choose. So I hope this video gave some insight and some clarity. Maybe it answered a few whys. And if you are interested in this work, if you feel a resonance with what I say or my energy, then you can check out my website, where I invite you to any of this deep inner work, this unraveling, this becoming conscious, healing, expansion, total acceptance and approval for both our humanness and our divinity. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.